two, one. Welcome to the Ricmotech World Challenge and welcome to Le Mans in France. We go here just as the drivers are starting to roll off the grid, and I'll just go ahead and quickly run through the grid for you. Sorry for the late start. Just had a little bit of issues getting everything sorted out. But we are here now. Pascal Iannucci and Cryptology Racing Orange are on the pole alongside Robert Hartley and Excite Energy Racing. Flyers Tortoise Motorsports lines up in third. David Payton in the Colorado Racing car lines up in fourth. Phoenix Racing and Team Street Survival, that is going to be fifth and sixth. And Ricmotech Motorsports White, driven by Raymond Bader, that is going to round out your GT Le Mans field. Jim List in the D2D Motorsports Gold car. D2D actually locks out the front row with D2D Motorsports Blue lining up alongside in second place in the GTD class. Tyler Schifflin, Meth Motorsports line up in third. And then Frito Sport Racing with Edgar Santinelli line up in the fourth spot in GTD, and Matt Owens in the TMC racing car line up in fifth. And we are missing Arthur Chan in the Axon racing car, so he will not take part in this race tonight. But as we get ready to go, the field is in the hands of Pascal Iannucci in the Cryptology Racing Orange, Tyler Maxon alongside Andrew Woodhouse in the commentary booth tonight. So, Andrew, good to be back with you again in the commentary booth as we get ready to roll here on Le Mans.
Here we go then. Green light is on. Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Apex Racing TV, Ricmotech World Challenge. Very excited to be here. 2 hours and 15 minutes. Excellent racing. And Pasquale Iannucci takes the lead then into the first chicane. And we do apologise for the lack of qualifying, but we did. But it was brought to you, and it is brought to you by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Give those guys some love. Go and see them if you need any graphics doing, things like that. And here come the GTDs then. Jim List leads the way. It's very close into the chicane. Oh, made a mistake, I think. I think List might have made a mistake. I saw a twitch, and he went a little bit deep, and that's allowed Eric Violet then to go alongside him through the S's, Tyler.
Yeah, so Eric Violet alongside of him, but that's just not going to be enough as there is Tyler Schifflin trying to make a move, and he is going to get that move done almost as they head onto the back straightaway now. So the DTD Motorsports Blue and the NAV Motorsports cars, they are going to battle it out heading onto the back straightaway. Now, do keep in mind the Audi and the Ferrari have a bit more straight line speed than the Mercedes does, but the Mercedes has the superior handling through the corners. So you just got to keep that in mind. These drivers are going to have to play each one of these things to their strengths and weaknesses today. But Eric Violet defending hard from Tyler Schifflin. Schifflin to the inside, and that's going to be Edgar Santinelli is going to try to make it 3 wide. He's not, but that was an almost 3 wide situation going into the first Mulsanne chicane, and Tyler Schifflin is going to get that move done.
Yeah, nice driving to hang it round there and keep that position. Pasquale Iannucci then is going to find it difficult to hold on to his position, being challenged as they go into Mulsanne corner then for the first time. Iannucci a couple of car lengths clear of Rob Hartley in the Excite Energy Racing car. Violet and Schifflin still quite close together. It's 0.4 of a second between them, and we will see, Tyler, the opportunity for Violet now to really open up the Mercedes, use the slipstream, and get within a couple of tenths maybe by the end of the straight.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. The Mercedes v Mercedes obviously going to give him a great draft as they head down into Mulsanne's corner. And just as you said, Pascal Iannucci continues to lead in the Cryptology Racing Orange, but this is the battle on the racetrack right now. It's the battle for second place in GTD, and it is between Tyler Schifflin and Eric Violet. Let's see if he can do anything towards Indianapolis. Right now, I think Schifflin's just got the pace. He's just kind of extending it, but the one who's really been benefiting from that one is Jim List of DTD Motorsports Gold. He is absolutely gone from that field. He's checked out 1.7 seconds. He's really been able to benefit from their battling. But we've also got a battle for second place in the GT Le Mans class. Robert Hartley having to defend for Michael Ruddick in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports car. but you can just see the superior handling of the Porsche as it heads through the Porsche curves. He's just able to stretch that lead out just a bit as they roll through the Porsche curves. And as he'll head down to the Ford chicanes, it will be Robert Hartley still in second place. Pascal Iannucci continues to lead. Michael Ruddick and David Payton and Georgie Fike. That is going to be your top 5 in that class. Keep in mind, we only have a 12-car running grid tonight, so we're going to be a little bit smaller grid than what we're used to, and it's really just a shame. This is an absolutely amazing series. I hate to see it have such a small grid, but definitely not going to be any short of some great racing here tonight.
Oh yeah, indeed. I mean, we've had it all season, haven't we? Where we've had some smaller grids, but it's not taken away from the action and the Ricmotech World Challenge. Terrific series. Hopefully, it does come back again. To be fair, Tyler, we've had a consistent sort of number of drivers, but obviously in the team race, it does mean that it sometimes doesn't look like there's a lot of drivers here, but there's still, we still got 20. We still got nearly 25 drivers here in this event, so it's not a poorly attended series by any means, and the racing is always really, really good. Fike then with Jeff Jacobs just a second or so behind. It's really got spread out, hasn't it? Just 2 laps, Tyler, and everybody's really spread out. I'm surprised at that. I thought we would get a lot of slipstreaming and a lot of overtaking in this first stint, but it seems to have shuffled out quite amazingly, really.
Yeah, it's really bigger gaps than what I was expecting, and especially for a track like Le Mans, which usually promotes some really, really awesome racing. Yeah, and like you said, I really do hope that this series does come back next season. Maybe, I think it'd be absolutely awesome if this series would try a little bit of a shorter race platform, such as a 90 minutes, as Tyler Shiflett's going to go right around the outside of Matt Owens. We'll see if Owens has anything to say about that going down into the first Mulsanne chicane. Back to what I was saying, though, I think it'd be absolutely awesome if they would bring in a real world challenge style, where it's a 90-minute race, and maybe we can get some single driver teams to run those. And then, like you said, we do have 25 drivers for this event, so if they could get 25 drivers in that, that's a good-sized field.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's certainly options for the organisers. I think in that sense, just taking a look at while we do have a few gaps out there on the circuit. Sorry, I'll get my words out eventually. We do have some, just to tell you the championships scenarios. So basically, in GTD class, it is winner take all for the championship. There's only 4 points separating D2D Motorsports Blue from May Motorsports. So that is the battle. To take the championship, May Motorsports must finish ahead of D2D Blue and cannot finish lower than 3rd. So if May Motorsports does not make it to the podium tonight, even if D2D Blue wrecks out, May Motorsports cannot win the championship. If D2D Blue finishes on the podium ahead of May Motorsports, they will be champions. In GTD, the current 3rd place team, D2D Gold, cannot win the championship, but it can take 2nd place in the championship from May Motorsports if they finish 5th or lower and D2D Gold wins, which at the moment, actually, Tyler, they are doing.
Yes, and like you said, they can take 3rd place in the championship. There is only 5 cars running in that class, so there's no way for them to finish in dead last. But right now, Meh Motorsports is sitting down in 4th place in the class. That's not what they need if they're trying to win a championship over D2D Motorsports Blue, who's currently sitting in 2nd. Now, what I would be interested to see is if we see team tactics within D2D Motorsports, if it's looking like D2D Motorsports Gold cannot take 2nd place, if they end up having team tactics to guarantee a championship.
I think they'd be stupid not to. If one car can win the championship and the other can't, then yeah, I think they would be stupid if they didn't switch them around if necessary. But the good news for May Motorsports, as we see them on the screen, Tyler Shiflett's only 1/10 of a second away from Edgar Sancinelli. He's going up the inside into the false chicane, and he has done it. So Tyler Shiflett is into at least a position where something's possible to happen for them. Just quickly into the GTLM class, as there's only half a second for the lead actually still between Crypto-G, Orange, and Excite Energy Racing. The championship has gone to Excite Energy, so that can't be changed. And second place has been clinched by Crypto-G Racing Orange. Coaxial Racing cannot catch the front two. Flying Tortoise Motorsports, who are currently Coaxial Racing in third, Flying Tortoise Motorsports lying in sixth place in this race, do have the ability to potentially finish in third in the championship, but they would have to finish ahead of Coaxial Racing to take over third place, and must finish no lower than third place, with Coaxial Racing no higher than fifth place. Coaxial need to finish one position behind wherever Flying Tortoise finishes. There you go. So it's all to play for, and Tyler, this shows as well how good the series is, because even though not too many cars in it, the championship battle in one of the two classes going right to the wire.
Yeah, and that's just what you say, is that this series, it may not have that many cars in it, but there is battles all the way to the end, as Jeff Jacobs looks to try to make a move here on
Oh, he's gone wide.
Spike, and he has gone wide. They've both gone wide, actually, down into Mulsanne's corner. But there's a battle for the lead. There's just 2 tenths separating the top two. Robert Hartley on the attack now to try and take over first place here from Pascal Iannucci. Is he going to try it down in Indianapolis? No, he is not. He's going to think better of that. Definitely a smarter move to not try it down there. Let's see if he tries it, though. And into the next corner, he had to think about it. He looked, but he just couldn't get that move done. But one thing I'm also reading here, in the notes here, is that the MAGTE will be added to the GTLM class this season. So that almost confirms for me that, one, we are going to have GTLM again next season, and two, we are going to have a next season.
You know what? I was just thinking about maybe what I would like to see, and obviously it'll probably have very little bearing on the organisers, because let's face it, if I was me, I wouldn't listen to me either. But I'd like to see one class. I'd actually like to see, if we have these numbers again, I'd actually like to see one class of car. Maybe to tighten up the battles a little bit. But no, it sounds good. It sounds good. That I like the idea of adding that class in. So yeah, I think this series has definitely a bright future, as Hartley goes slightly onto the grass. Not onto the grass, onto the gravel, coming out of the Virage du Raccordement at the end of the lap, and didn't cost him anything, as a lot of drivers, Tyler, tend to extend slightly there because they know they can usually get away with it.
Yeah, that's one of those corners where you can really, really push the limits of how far out you can go. I know this track all too well, as I know many people do. Just racing here in the Porsche RSR for the 24-hour season. And that's one of those corners that you better extend there, because everyone's going to do it. If not, it'll cost you 2-3 tenths as you head down the front straightaway. So it's one of those things that you can see. Robert Hartley using absolutely every inch of road. Don't know if I want to be doing
now, Tyler, sorry, it says, just quickly, actually, let's see if he can make the move here, Hartley, but just says Matt Owens has had a crash. I don't know if can maybe queue up a replay for in a couple of moments. But yeah, he's dropped 20 seconds in just a couple of in just a minute or so. So sorry to interrupt there, but it just looked like a fairly important thing.
Yeah, and there we go. Here's a replay of what happened to Matt Owens. That is the ending of that. So let's try this one. Let's see if this is what we need to look at here as they head down into Mulsanne's corner. See if this is what happened to him. No, he just simply went wide. See if the next replay.
It smacks of hitting the wall in the Porsche curves, doesn't it? Or oh yeah, oh there that goes. Just got a bit out of shape, didn't he? And that was all it took.
Yeah, that's
Canadian.
just all it took is we'll get another replay of it here from a different angle.
Oh,
Ooh, big hit.
that's a strange one in terms of sort of where he's crashed. It's not really. It's a very very tough part of the circuit, but yeah, you got a massive slide on going through the left hander. And now it's down to a couple of tenths again. I wonder if we might see him move into Indianapolis here, Tyler, because Hartley's got a fantastic run.
Yeah, Robert Hartley with a fantastic run. That's a racing car. And there you go. Just a little bit of a slide there from Pascal Iannucci. You can see that Robert Hartley is putting the pressure on him as they work their way now through the corner after Indianapolis that I always forget the name of, and we head up towards the Porsche curves.
The corner after Indianapolis is Arnage. But yeah, I must admit, I had to. Sometimes I have a bit of a mental block on that one, as they're racing very closely through the Porsche curves, and I competed in the iRacing Le Mans 24 Hours a couple of years ago, and one of my favourite parts of the circuit, Tyler, just such a fun section.
Yeah, definitely. Just such a fun section, the Porsche curves, and really the whole track, to be honest with you. The whole track is just one of those places that really challenges drivers and really challenges them to drive at their highest standards throughout the entire track. You cannot take a moment of a breather on this track. It's always something. Now, while the Mulsanne Straight is a long time down, there's still just no time to do anything, really. Whatever you think about it in the grand scheme of things.
Can you imagine how terrifying it must have been for the drivers when the Mulsanne Straight had no chicanes in it and they were doing 230 miles an hour at the end of it and just praying that the car would survive the 4 kilometers or whatever it is. Unbelievable sort of unbelievable commitment, and the fact that people used to do that in the wet weather as well, it's just baffling. I mean, the track's fast enough as it is with the chicanes.
Yeah, especially with the modern day regulations, if they went down with no chicanes in the straightaway, it would be really high speed. And I would actually like to see that because, in my opinion, that actually would be an awesome race. If they opened that up for one of the 24 hours in Le Mans, probably could never get that approved with say, some of these other sports. But yeah, I mean, at today's standards, almost going close to 200 miles an hour down into Mulsanne's corner. And with how tight Mulsanne's corner is too, like you said, that would be a very, very scary thing to be on every single lap. Just praying, like you said, that the car is going to stop in time.
It's a tough braking area down there as it is. We're going to see it in about 30 seconds time as well. Is the drivers, the lead drivers reaching it. Can we go on board with Rob Hartley and just see what he can see? Take us through it, Tyler, from the driver's point of view, what he's looking for into this tight right-hander at the end of the straight.
Since we head down the Mulsanne straightaway now, the best chance is to make a nice exit out of the second Mulsanne chicane down into Mulsanne's corner. Now you're going to come in here, you're going to turn in at the cone, start braking whenever the curb gets there, and just try to get as straight a brake in as you can. Get the car turned in into Mulsanne's corner, get all up next to the gravel on the exit for a nice run down that straightaway.
Will he have been aiming for that cone on the outside on braking? You saw that cone on the left-hand side. Would he be trying to straighten up towards that maybe as a reference?
Yeah, it's definitely something you can straighten up to. The one going into the corner, it's a very nice curve to be used actually. It's a great reference point. You pretty much turn right there and it'll get you a pretty straight entry into the corner where you're not braking too much off while the wheel is turned, because at that point then you have you risk taking some sort of a lock up on the inside tires, which can then hurt your pace over the course of a lap. So definitely not what you want, and just a couple of little tricks that that some of these drivers know, and I can see a lot of these drivers using around this racetrack.
Hartley saving fuel here. I know it doesn't take an absolute genius to work that out, but when we've been going on board with him, he could get past any time he wants on the straights. But he's just grass for Iannucci, as he's trying to push hard here to stay ahead of Hartley, but very nearly disaster. We saw what happened to Owens. You don't want to get any sort of out of shape in Porsche curves, because it can cost you. And you can see that visibly now, Tyler, that Iannucci looks like he's stepped on it a little bit.
Yeah, so Iannucci, you can really tell, is starting to push that car more and more, as there's another battle on the racetrack. Jeff Jacobs is closing up to the back of Jordy Fike. This is the second time that these two will have battled once he catches up. And this is definitely the battle on the racetrack. Is there he goes, Jordy Fike with a mistake, and that is going to cost him the 4th place. So big, costly mistake. Luckily, it didn't cost him too much time, only about 1.3 seconds, but definitely not what he wants at all.
Jacobs a very good driver in the Ricmotech sports car series as well over the years, and as are most of these drivers, actually, nearly all of them, to be fair. But it's a different style of racing for them, and I know a lot of them do enjoy it. This is the battle for second place in the in the GTD class, and like I say, reminder that Mare Motorsports with Tyler Schiffler. This is the battle. This is the battle for the championship, Tyler, right in front of our eyes. Because if Tyler Schiffler can get past Eric Violet and stay in the top 3, they'll be champion.
Yep, and just as you said, and also just to kind of quickly check in on your leaders, Pascal Iannucci currently 2.5 seconds ahead of Robert Hartley. So nothing off of Hartley. He's just had a big pace step up, has Iannucci, in the last few minutes.
He must have had a big moment somewhere to lose 2.5 seconds. He hasn't been off the track. It's not registered as a spin or a crash or anything, but yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But and now this is the difficult part, because it's really going to alter Hartley's race, isn't it? Because now he doesn't just get to sit in the slipstream and save the fuel. He's going to have to work his car harder. He's going to have to work his tyres that little bit harder. And here comes Tyler Schiffler now with a potentially championship-winning overtake. Let's see. Goes on the outside then for the second Mulsanne chicane. On the braking, is he going to hit his markers properly? He brakes very late, does Schiffler. He nearly loses the rear of the car, but he's through into championship-taking position. Of course, no, Tyler. Because of the nature of this circuit and the fact that we've got still nearly 2 hours left, it's not done and dusted by any means, but it is a big marker laid down.
Yeah, just as you said, a big marker laid down. And again, yeah, 2 hours almost remaining, and 1 driver swap to go. So you never know. Are D2D possibly running their slower of the 2 drivers? Not saying that Eric Violet is slow by any stretch of the imagination. He's a very fast driver. But are they running the slower of the 2 drivers, whereas Math Motorsports is running the faster of the 2? Or has D2D just started saving a little bit of fuel to hopefully not have to make 2 stops? As from what I understand, the GTD cars can go 45 to 55 minutes. Are they going to try to extend that to almost an hour so that they can have a smaller pit stop and a little bit later pit stop in the race?
Well, we're certainly going to have a look at that. in a bit. Yeah, and we're going to see it manifest itself. It looks like Geordie Fike's been off the circuit for a couple of seconds, and that looks like it might have. It just meant that he's lost a bit of time to a bit more time to Jeff Jacobs.
And that was the incident again that we
Oh,
saw.
was that the one earlier on? Sorry, I must have. Sorry, that made Now the time gaps or lack of them makes sense.
Yeah, so now 1.8 seconds now between him and Jeff Jacobs. He has a further 2 seconds to Michael Ruddick. But Eric Violet, crucially, 1.2 seconds behind Tyler Shiflett in Mev Motorsports. So that's a big deal for them.
He has to stay in that slipstream. He has to stay. He's just on the edge of where he's going to pick up any sort of toe. So he needs the first sector of his life here to gain a couple of tenths and get to the point that when he gets through Turk Rouge and he gets on the Mulsanne straight, that at least he's getting some assistance.
Yeah, he really does. He needs the run of his lifetime through Techeroos and down the Mulsanne straight, because if he doesn't get that, if he loses the draft, he's pretty much out of it here, because he obviously doesn't have the raw pace that Tyler Shiflett has. Keep in mind, they are in the same car, so it's not that Tyler Shiflett just has a better car through the corners. He's just out driving Eric Violet right now. And also, just a couple more notes that I'm reading for here. We're also going to have a single drivers have to take 4 tires on at least one of their pit stops. So if a driver is running solo in this race, they are required to make a pit stop.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, that's just because literally it's to balance the fact that it does take quite a while for a driver swap. So you could get quite a massive advantage by not changing the driver. So they've decided to put that rule in. I think it's a good rule. Makes it fair for everybody. Just remains to be seen on. Just remains to be seen as how it's going to play out. Just having a quick look at the teams. So Meh Motorsport have got Clint Vigas coming in the last stint, and then it's Chad Parker and Brandon Whitworth for D2D Motorsports Blue. So be one of those two gentlemen. It's going to be close. It's going to be close looking at those team rosters. I don't see a lot in it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see just what's going to happen. I know I keep saying we'll see, but that is the stock cliche when it comes to endurance racing. It is a waiting game, and we are seeing that now. The gap, incidentally, Tyler, has actually gone to 2.5 between Iannucci and Hartley. Hartley's got some work to do now. It's like I say, it's not. It's suddenly made his job a lot harder though. That bad lap that he had.
Yeah, definitely made his job a whole lot harder than it had to be. It cost him just a lot of time. Did that for Eric Violet. Just cost him an insane amount of time that he just can't afford to lose. He really can't. If I'm being completely honest with you, they can't afford to lose to Tyler Shiflett. Now, their other car currently has a 12-second advantage, and it's not coming down. So, has their other car got something figured out that just they don't? Or are the drivers just naturally just a little bit faster? And are we going to see, possibly, the G2D Motorsports Gold car slow up in the pit stop phases to almost battle and hold up the Man Motorsports car to let the blue catch back up? Is there going to be some major team tactics going on, or is it going to be just every man for himself?
I'd say that usually there's not a lot to choose between Jim List and Eric Violet, so I wonder if it's a setup issue or whether it's something else. But I mean, it could be strategy. You never know. I mean, there could be something that they're doing in one car, that they don't do, they're not doing in the other intentionally. We don't know this exactly, but Eric Violet has unfortunately, after the overtake, not been able to stay within that sort of 1 second where he's going to get those gains in the draft down the back straight. So it was tough for him because actually you don't normally mind Tyler getting overtaken at this circuit because you usually know, especially if you get overtaken fairly early on in the lap, that you know that you've got a chance to stay with it.
Yeah, and as we're just talking about, the Jordy Fike was within 0.3 of a second and has supposedly had a crash. And let's see, he'll just gonna run wide and just able to cost him a lot of time. So nothing too bad there for that driver, but yeah, this is crunch time for all of these drivers. I'm just reading more of the notes. Season 2 of the Ricmotech World Challenge, the registration will open on July the 1st, with round number 1 being on July the 21st. Just a couple weeks, just about a week actually, to exactly 1 week until we'll see the registration open for next season of the Ricmotech World Challenge. So if you are interested in joining the series, make sure to go to extrememotorsports.com and just click on the World Challenge section of the series tab to get involved in this series next season. I think this series is going to be a bit bigger next season. It's grown quite a lot over the course of the season. Now we have had several drivers not be here for the last round of the series, but the last race that we did, I believe, was Mid-Ohio, and that one was an absolutely incredible race. So I am actually quite surprised to see that many drivers have not showed up. Maybe some drivers feeling that they're not in the championships, so it's not worth coming for the final race. Definitely ashamed to see that if that is the case, but yeah. And Tyler Schiffler, though, absolutely pulling away right now.
Yeah, Iannucci's added another second onto his lead over Hartley as well, for the overall race lead. But this is the battle really that we need to be keeping an eye on the most, I think, for the race, because, like I said, the title is on the line, and you know, a lot can happen over 2 hours and 15 minutes. We've seen that in the past. So definitely Schiffler and Vegas, they haven't done it all. They haven't completed the task yet, but getting the overtake done, doing it fairly early on, and stretching the legs to 3.4 seconds. Like I say, it's a great start for them. And Eric Violet, he has to try. Obviously, he's trying. Of course, he is. But he has to try and respond somehow, at least to maybe keep the gap where it is, Tyler, before it gets completely unmanageable.
Yeah, it
Because
just
even if they bring that, even if they try to make team orders with the gold car, the only thing that they can do really is now bring them back to this battle and try to maybe hold up Mere Motorsports, but that can go wrong in many ways as well.
Yeah, and that's just a little bit too risky, in my opinion, to do that, because they're giving up a 12-second lead, and almost, if they can just keep the car going and keep it at the same pace, almost a guaranteed win. So, is it a better change? Let me restart with that. Is it a better option for them to risk possibly a race win in the super finale, um, to possibly get the championship, or is it better to run it out almost as long as possible, and then if it's absolutely necessary, then they try to do that? But just as you said, so many different things can go wrong with that it's almost too risky.
Yeah, I mean, the final round of the championship, that's where you really have to make that. Violet's down to 6 seconds. Has he had a problem on this lap? Because it was 3.4 seconds about 40 seconds ago before you started talking. So I don't know if he's been off somewhere. I didn't quite see it.
Yeah, not getting anything registered here on the live timing. Not that I can see, at least, just to make sure that there was not a lot of traffic. It's not. So, yeah, I just don't know. because it's not registered anything in the live timing, so I don't think that he's had any off. And also, one thing I did not realize until just now, Excite Racing and Cryptology Orange are battling for the championship in GTLM. And also, Coaxium Racing and Flyers Tortoise Motorsports are also battling for third place. So there's championship battles in both ends of the spectrum here. So neither championship has been decided, and we won't know the champion for another almost hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, indeed. There's plenty that can go wrong. There's plenty that can go right. And yeah, it's just how the drivers are going to cope with it, because we do have pit stops to do. You know, there is a risk of issues for anybody in those pit stop phases. So, and again, it's an endurance race. You know, it's about the consistency. It's about concentration. It only takes one mistake to ruin your race, and you know, you don't want you don't want to have that sort of thing in the championship finale.
Yeah, you just don't. And really, you don't want to have any sort of, ideally for most of these teams, they have this wrapped up before the end of the championship. As Tyler Shiflett, that was a big, big moment, and somehow is still going to gain time from that. I would
And,
seriously like to know how he's managed to do that.
and that's the thing, though. That's the question. And Tyler, you know, he's obviously pushing hard here. He wants to stretch that advantage. He's not really gaining on Jim List, who's having tremendous first stint in car number 8. But yeah, he's pulling out this lead over Eric Violet. Just to run you down the list, then Pasquale Iannucci for Cryptogy Orange, leading. Rob Hartley second for Excite Energy Racing. Then David Payton in third for Coaxial Racing. We haven't really mentioned David Payton, but he's had a fairly quiet race. I'll be honest, he's sort of in no man's land at the moment. But third for him, he'll be happy with that. Team Street Survival in fourth with Jeff Jacobs, and then Mike Ruddock in the Flying Tortoise, and then Geordie Fike for Phoenix Racing, and Raymond Bader Jr. in the Ricmotech Motorsports white car. David Payton in that Ferrari 488, which looks pristine at the moment. And of course, the question is, Tyler, is it going to stay that way? I think if he's on his own for most of it, then there's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, there really is a pretty good chance that that is going to be the way the car stays until the end. Yeah, just as you said, we're not really mentioned anything about him, but he's just kind of been in no man's land. And right now, with his current position, he would take third place in the championship. So, Flying Tortoise with Michael Ruddock have really got to step up the pace in the next few laps, or really in the next hour and almost 40 minutes, if they want to have a chance at catching them and taking the championship lead.
Yeah, I'll just be a second, Tyler. I've just got to check something. Just a minute.
And as when he does that, we're just going to check in here on your race leader, Pascal Iannucci. 3 seconds there over Robert Hartley. So he's commanding lead. Hartley is definitely not backing down off this battle anytime soon. And we'll also just check in really quick with race leader Jim List. He's definitely had a flawless race, 13.5 seconds over Tyler Shiflett in the Meth Motorsports car. That car currently battling with Jim List's teammate, Eric Violet. So they have some inter-team connections possibly. So D2D Motorsports Blue and Motorsports, they're battling for the lead of the championship. So D2D Gold is here for points only, whereas the teams in second and third of Map Motorsports and D2D Motorsports Blue are here for a championship and here for much bigger. So we'll see how that ends up playing out as Pascal Iannucci just crossed the line with a 47.5. I'm going to quickly let you go ahead and ride aboard with no commentary on the next lap, as we did not have we weren't actually able to finish the track guide for you tonight. So do apologize for that one. We just got a little bit late starting, had a little bit of technical issues that we had to get resolved before the start of the stream, and we did end up getting all those technical issues figured out, but we just had to get those figured out before we could go live, and that is why we were not unable to finish the track guide. But we'll let you go on board with Pascal Iannucci, as well as Jim List. Jim List just working his way here through the final sector, so we'll do 2 back-to-back laps on board, one with a GTD car, and next with the GTLM cars. So I will quickly go ahead, as soon as he crosses the line, we'll switch over to the in-car camera and get ready to go here for a lap on board with D2D Motorsports Gold driver Jim List. welcome back to the commentary here. And that was an onboard lap there with Jim List. We'll get on board with Pascal Iannucci here in just a second. He is currently heading into Mulson's corner right now. And actually, we're actually going to ride on board here with Robert Hartley as he is in the chase of Pascal Iannucci. So this should be an absolutely amazing onboard lap for you guys there. But yes, he is on the chase of that driver, so should really be pushing the limits of what the car can do on this lap. So it should be an absolutely awesome onboard lap. But just wait for them to work their way around to the start-finish line. On board with them.
Just a little.
With them, we have Woody back with us. Welcome back.
Yeah, I just had to make. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, I just had to make sure that something was working in the house. So so to check something was actually not broken. So yeah, just having a quick look at that. But back now, Hartley, he's got a task ahead of him. I tell you, because race pace, he's a tenth or two slower, isn't he? A lap. So it's not a huge gap though, Tyler, and we will see, of course, once they get to the pit stops, that gap of 2 or 3 seconds can easily be caught up.
Yeah, definitely can be caught up in the pit stop phases. The races are most of the time, and in these races, one of the most famous sayings, I can't quite remember who said it, but the races are won and lost in the pit stops, not on the racetrack. And as Pascal Iannucci into the pit lane, and so is Robert Hartley. So both of them with not very early pit stops. It is the earlier of this tide of pit stops for these cars. First pit stop will occur 40 to 50 minutes into the race. So again, something to keep an eye on. I want to see though, do these drivers come in and do a driver swap, or do they just get the fuel and get back out there, or do they hand it over to their co-drivers here? As David Payton, the Quaxel Racing Cars, also in.
There we go then. Perfect timing to ruin our onboard lap that we were going to do, but we could certainly get back to that in a moment. But yeah, who's gonna come out first? Travis Schwenke in the car then for Excite Energy. Driver swap there. Everyone else looks like they are leaving the driver in. Everybody's in on this lap, so that's the thing about Le Mans, though, isn't it? The fuel, the lap is so long that you cannot risk that extra lap.
No, and you just really can't. You've got to be fully confident that you can do that. And they have made up 0.3 of a second in the pit stops, have Excite Energy, and they have a new driver behind them of Travis Schwenke. So that's something that you've also got to keep in mind too. Does Travis Schwenke possibly have a little bit more pace than Mike Dam? Obviously, if they put in Mike Dam now for the double stint, they obviously are confident in Mike's pace in the car. In comparison to Pascal's. And not saying that Pascal is any sort of slow, but they obviously feel as if he's either more comfortable in the car or has faster lap times that he could turn, and Travis the same.
Mike Dam, one of the greatest drivers in the history of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, multiple time champion. He and Pasquale Iannucci have fought over several championships, so there's very little in it between them. There really is, and it sounds like I'm just being diplomatic for the sake of it, but I've watched many races over the last. Oh, Schwenke! Schwenke spun! He spun in the chicane. That could be crucial.
That's going to cost him
7 or 8 seconds gone.
That's 11. That's actually more
11
than
seconds.
That. That's 10 seconds.
10 seconds with a half spin is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just the way that he tried to get the car spun around. He ended up doing a full 360 instead of just possibly turning the car to the right and flipping the car back straight. But that's cost him a ton of time, and that's Travis Schwenke possibly costing Excite Energy the race win and the win in the championship.
The championship is done though, isn't it? They've got the championship, so it's that's not an issue for them. But
My apologies. I'm getting
definitely,
confused between the two classes,
don't worry.
actually.
But it's definitely an issue for this race, and that is true because it is the final race of the season. It doesn't matter about necessarily the championship in that state, but there's still a lot of pride at stake, still a lot of bragging rights to be had. It's just made that task for Travis Frenkie that much more difficult.
Yeah,
Eric
it
Violet
really
has stayed
has.
out by the looks of it for D2D Motorsports Blue. So he's tried to extend this, Tyler, and definitely got a good chance of doing that. Michael Key, the veteran, gets into the Frito Sport racing car. Vega Sancinelli. Michael Key, I don't think, in mind saying he's the oldest driver in the series. I believe he's nearly 70 years old. So fair play to him for taking on the Circuit de la Sarthe.
Yeah, definitely. A veteran driver being that old, really, 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 to be doing that still, racing at the level that he does. But Tyler Shiflett, um,
Seen that in NASCAR a few times, haven't we? Drivers of sort of pension age, getting in there. People like the one that comes to mind is Morgan Shepherd, who's still going, I think, and James Hilton was another one. But yeah, you don't see it as much in sports car racing. But there's still a few great veterans out there. I mean, the main one that springs to mind for me, it's not quite a pensioner, but Gabriele Tarquini is 57 years old, and he's still winning races in the World Touring Car Championship, Tyler.
yeah, that's just incredible. To be that old, I say that old, you're not even that old at that point, but to still be winning races at the level with drivers just so young. But
Yeah.
man, that has cost him though. Look at
Well,
that. That's cost Travis Swanky so much
mm,
time.
and
David
David
Payton
Payton is
is now
interested in this now,
a
isn't he, David
second.
Payton?
He's now only a second behind. So I think not only has that lost him a lot of time, that's also kind of rocked his confidence a little bit
Well,
to the
you know what?
point that he's backed way off.
But you know what else it would have done, don't you? You know the iRacing tyre model just as well as I do, and that half spin will have really spiked the temperature in those Michelin tyres. So, it, it's very difficult to recover the temperature down to a normal level.
Yeah, it just really, really is. I mean, to recover temperature the way you really need to, um, it takes so much. It costs you so much time because you have to slow the car down so much to be able to do that. So it's a hard one because they could cool the tires down and possibly go way faster, or they could cool the tires down, still not have any pace, and have just lost all that time. So it's difficult though, because like you said, it would have made the tires really, really hot, and especially with the way it is, currently working 52 minutes into this 2-hour and 15-minute endurance race. Um, there's still a lot of time left, and the sun is starting to come up. Right now, we
Yeah.
are currently sitting at, see if it'll say on here. It will not, so sorry about, apologies for that one. I didn't think it was actually going to say it on our track information, but it does not.
You know, I have to say though, I was really looking forward to a bit of night racing when I joined the session, because I joined the session at about an hour and a half ago. Well, it was more than that. It was about 2 hours ago, and it was dark, and there were people doing practice in the dark, and I thought, oh wow, we're gonna get a bit of night racing in. But I tell you though, Le Mans, people think that the nighttime is the most difficult time for a lot of the drivers in this series, and in every series, World Endurance, everything. It's the dusk and the dawn time where it's a bit harder because of the level of the sun low in the skies, gets in their eyes, because of, and your eyes naturally, Tally, obviously, you go out, if it, in certain light, certain evening light, when the sun's going down and it's getting to dusk time, your eyes sometimes can't adjust to that. As Peyton, has taken second place. There's something wrong with Schwenke. Something wrong with Schwenke big time. He's slowing down. I don't know if that's a slow down penalty or not, but something's seriously wrong anyway, because they're way off the pace. Travis Schwenke is a fast driver, and he's just not on. He just hasn't got the speed at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with that Excite Energy car. I don't quite know what it is, though. I don't know if it was just iRacing playing up, but I also kind of heard it almost sound like it was on the pit limiter. Sounded to me like he hit the pit limiter, which is weird that would happen. It could just be an iRacing audio glitch, which does happen.
Is that what the flashing light was at the back of the car?
I think it may have been.
I saw a light flashing. Slightly strange line into, maybe it was just the sun, I'm not sure, but the slightly strange line into the Ford chicane as well. But yeah, Travis is usually very, very reliable, so it's strange to me to see such a slow pace from him. David Payton's very good, but still in relation to Mike Dam, David Payton's nearly 3/4 of a second slower per lap. So all I'm trying to say, Tyler, is really I'm just so surprised by Schwenke so far. I mean, the spin will have thrown him off a little bit. It will. That's just how it works. You know, you make one mistake and you unnerve yourself slightly. But yeah, he needs to get back in the game, and I think he has done, because he's picked up a couple of tenths in that sector one.
Yeah, and I do think that he has gotten himself back in the game, but still, that's costing him a ton of time. It's now 16 seconds to Mike Dam. So it's really, really difficult for him, because he doesn't want to have any sort of he doesn't want to have another half spin or a full spin, or have even worse happen. But he also wants to push the car enough. But right now, I do think that his confidence is just slightly rocked. But going back to what you said earlier, with some of the drivers thinking that the nighttime is just so difficult, I could say from real life experience, as well from in-sim experience, just like you said, the dusk in the dark, where it fades into the dark, that's the most difficult time. The dawn and the evening are the most difficult times to race at, because sun is in your eyes. You can easily misjudge braking points or turn-in points, and it's actually the night that's actually the easiest time to race.
Because it's very clear, isn't it? It's very clear to the eyes, isn't it? The nighttime.
The nighttime is one of those times where it's very, very calming to your eyes, almost, in my opinion. It's not a time that's super straining on your eyes. You don't have the sun in your eyes. You don't have any of these things happening. You also don't have to deal with the fact that during the daytime, and this is just during the daytime in general, it's almost harder to see when a car's coming up on you than it is during the night, especially in this multi-class environment. When you're racing in the night, that is the easiest time to know when a driver's coming up behind you and know when you have to be able to take evasive action to let that driver by, or that driver is coming by you. So it's one of those times where, yes, it may be difficult for some drivers, but for most drivers, and I would say for most drivers that race in real life as well as in the sim, the nighttime they will find to be the absolute easiest, because it's one of those times it's the smoothest for you.
Yes.
And it's one of the easiest times to multi-class race.
Yeah. And I think that, the only slight difficulty I think with the night is that you're not always sure exactly how close the car behind is, but at least you can see them. Whereas sometimes, if you're... I mean, the good thing in iRacing is we do obviously have the relative screen, which means that you always know where the driver is, even if you can't see them. But I definitely agree. You've got a battle going on. Well, it's a perspective battle anyway. 8th, 9th, and 10th. Violet, Shiflet, Violet, and List. It's only about 10 seconds difference between them. And in a race like this, that isn't really a large gap. And you can see them all in the same... Well, you can see a couple of them at least in the same shot. Jim List and Eric Violet. And List had the pace in the first stint, didn't he? I wonder if they just... I don't know why the pit stop was... the pit lane time was a lot longer, and the pit stop time was a lot longer for D2D Motorsports Gold. And they didn't change the driver, so you've got to wonder, was that maybe a speeding on entry, maybe a long hold time there?
There is a possibility of that, but I do also think maybe, just possibly, they took tires in this stint to hopefully gain a competitive advantage going into the next 2 stints, where they won't have to take those tires. Or possibly Jim List is driving solo in this race, which I don't think is the case.
I'm just going to double check that now for you. No, Bobby Childs is down as the other registered member of that team.
Okay, so that's not the case then. So it is looking more and more likely that maybe he did have a speeding on entry penalty, but that still wouldn't cost him 10 seconds because I don't think that a speeding on entry is more than 10 seconds.
Could it have been? Well, the thing is, he's lost. So in time-wise, he's lost 34 seconds. 34 seconds. Now,
There's no way.
conspiracy theorists
Absolutely
among
no
us
way.
might say that was potentially intentional, but I believe that the only way that you would actually do a switch, sort of a team order switch in the pits, would be if D2D Motorsports Blue were in front of Meh Motorsports, which they're simply not. So it says Jeff Jacobs has crashed. Team Street Survival. Oh, exactly. Oh, there it is. It's just it's not a crash, but it's the most pathetic spin in the world, Tyler. But we've all done it.
Yeah, but just as you say, we've all done that spin. None of us will, most of us at least, won't like to admit it, but we have done that spin at least once in iRacing. Can't say that haven't done that during a race or something.
Oh no, I mean you wouldn't dream of it.
Yeah, but no, it's one of those things where you don't want to, but we've all done it at some point in our iRacing careers, whether that be during a race or during a test. Some of us, myself included, were the unlucky ones to do that exact same spin almost during a race. Not going to go into too much detail about that one, but we'll just leave it at that.
Travis Schwenke has got this down to 0.8 of a second. Now he's going to get held up through the Ford chicane. Look at that. He's lost that 0.8 of a second that he just gained in those 2 corners. But it's the fact still remains that he's got it down from 3.4 seconds to 1.5.
Yeah. So he's done a great job to not only get that car a lot faster and keep that pace, but he's also just been able to crunch away at that gap just ever so slightly as we just crossed over the half a minute as at the 1 hour mark, sorry, just about 3 minutes ago now. So we will take a commercial break in just about 13 minutes time, just about an hour left in this race here in Le Mans, France's Circuit de la Sarre. But one thing that we also didn't add in that I just now noticed, Kevin Ford is in the Ricmotech Motorsports White Ford GTE. Wonder if they pick the Ford because of that. But nonetheless, he is in that car, and hopefully we'll be able to make up some of the time that they lost in that. But they didn't quite have the pace, I don't think, in the first stint of the race. They are quite far back from even the nearest team of Team Super Survival of Jeff Jacobs, but they are still a long ways back, but they can still at this point catch. I think if they get a good enough run to be able to catch them. And actually, I would actually like to correct myself there. It's actually 31 seconds, so it's a big, big gap to catch. But one driver who is catching the gap is Travis Swanky. He is closing in on David Payton in front of him, and he's doing a great job to do so. Also, Jim List is also closing down on Eric Violet in the D2D Motorsports Gold car. So this is obviously possibly team tactics here from D2D. I wonder if they did that whole kerfuffle in the pit stops, possibly took tires and some other stuff, to get behind D2D Motorsports Blue and possibly tow them and just take them to the front.
Because maybe they don't have the pace. Maybe they don't have the outright pace. You know what? If they do that, then that's actually very, very clever, and that's not something I would have even thought about. But this is a circuit where it can be done. But you do have to be careful that obviously nothing goes wrong with that.
And obviously it's a risky strategy, but right now...
But List is showing good pace. He's showing that pace that he showed in the first stint.
Yes, and especially if he can get... Obviously, you know this as well as I do. If you've got a driver in front of you as a reference point, you're going to go to that point or even deeper. And if he can also take the slipstream from Jim List, with Jim List's pace, or with with Jim List's pace, if Eric Violet can match that same pace around the lap, he will catch Tyler Shiflett by the end of the stint, no questions asked.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. 8 seconds, it's not a ridiculous amount.
If they actually are doing that, and they somehow pull this off, I will be the first one to tell you D2D Motorsports have pulled off one of the most impressive strategies I think I will have ever seen in the history of sim racing.
I have a feeling, and I don't want to sort of I don't want to sort of what's the word? Play down a team's intelligence, strategy, or whatever. But even if they haven't done it intentionally, I think it's looking more and more by the lap that potentially it was. But even if it's ended up that it was just a bad pit stop for Jim List, and he's just ended up behind them, it could even inadvertently be an absolute godsend for them. I think regardless of it, we're about to see whether this plan can come to fruition. Jim List was the fastest driver out there in GTD. And yeah, he's the one. If anybody's going to do it at this point, he's going to... it's going to be he. And there's the switch. But the onus is on them to stay close. Although what they can do... which, you know, obviously we mentioned Eric Violet couldn't do when Tyler Shiflett passed him, is if it looks like Eric Violet's dropping off too much, Tyler, then Jim can just slow down a little bit and keep within that range, you know. As long as overall they're catching, it doesn't really matter.
And one thing I would just like to add, straight off the bat, as soon as Jim List gets in front, they've already caught 1/10 of a second in just about 3 corners of the straight. That's just incredible.
And another half a second there. Look.
To do that, they can possibly pull off one of the most impressive strategies ever. But Eric Violet's also losing the back. But we got a closer battle on the racetrack and a more important battle right now. Travis Swanky has closed up now to 0.3 of a second behind David Payton. So Excite Energy Racing looking for that second place right now. They're looking for redemption for what happened earlier on in the race. We're an hour and 8 minutes into this 2-hour and 15-minute endurance race, and it is the battle for second place. Travis Swanky is all over the back now with David Payton. He's going to get the slipstream down the next straightaway. Is he going to try and move into Indianapolis, or is he just going to save it for Arnage and make almost the safer move? going into R&Rs because obviously I've
It's tough.
seen it. I've just been watching. Travis Swanky is faster through the Porsche curbs, so he needs to be in front.
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, we'll see. He's going to follow through Indianapolis. And you know what? He could have a lunge into Arnage if he wants one. But it is a move that potentially could be a bit unnecessary, given the fact that he does have the slipstream. Fastest second sector of the race in the previous lap for Travis Schwenke. So yeah, he's the coming man at the moment. He's the one who's he's the one who's making things happen in this race now, because he had a lot to do after his spin, didn't he? But give him a lot of credit. And look at, like he said, look at the speed difference. And he almost hits the wall there, David Payton.
And that's just the difference there. And I will be the first one to point out to you. The only difference in that... Whoa, that was close. David Payton in the grass and Travis Swanky. I don't even think you could have put a piece of paper in between them. But I will be the first one to tell you that is not on driver. That is purely on car. The Porsche around Le Mans is just incredible through the Porsche curbs. There's nothing that's going to beat it through the Porsche curbs. And David Payton is going to let Travis Swanky by.
Was it a slow down penalty?
I do actually think so, because he took a lot of curb on the first bit of the Ford chicane. If you take a lot of curb there, you will get a slow down penalty. And
what he needs to do is have, like, again, a great first sector, and just stay in the slipstream, because once you're in the slipstream, you've got a good chance of staying there. Now, I will say that when I did compete in Le Mans, I was driving the Ferrari and absolutely loved it through the Porsche curves. So, and Payton has had a good first sector. Look, he's down to 3/10 again.
Yeah, so he's definitely closed in.
Must have been a small mistake.
Yeah, but one thing though, D2D Motorsports Gold is starting to pull away from D2D Motorsports Blue, and they're now 1.8 seconds, but they're also catching Math Motorsports. And one thing that Bobby Childs has pointed out to us here in the YouTube chat is Shiflett doesn't get bonus points. He has to beat Eric by 2 spots to win the title. So one thing that D2D Motorsports has up their sleeve is if Tyler Shiflett doesn't get any bonus points in this race, and what you can get a bonus point for in this series, they can get 1 bonus point for leading lap, 1 bonus point for top qualifier, and 1 bonus point for the most positions gained, but that's only in the open class in the sports car series, so we don't have that in this series. So there's only 2 bonus points that they can possibly get during this race, and they were not top qualifier, so that's 1 bonus point out the window, but they are going to get a bonus point for leading a lap. So that is the crucial part there. They are going to get points for leading a lap.
But it does mention that, it does mention that May just have to finish ahead of D2D Blue. So as long as D2D Blue, list. Oh no!
Spun. List has spun. That's going to cost him a lot of time. That's cost him 5 seconds to D2D Blue. So Jim List, it's all gone bad for D2D here.
And actually, Eric Violet hadn't really gained any time. Didn't look like the toe was really in effect either, did it?
No, it really didn't.
So I don't know if they've maybe planned it as well as we thought they had.
No, I really don't think that they have. And just before we go to a commercial break here in just a couple minutes,
yes,
Travis Swanky is right now feeling the pressure from David Payton, now only 0.4 of a second behind. But what I was about to say is I'm going to jump over during our commercial break into the TeamSpeak chat for that team and see if I can get one of them to come over for an interview and kind of ask them just about some of the stuff that we're seeing here in the commentary booth, if they can prove or disprove any of our theories.
Is that before or after the commercial break?
I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to jump over there during the commercial break and see if I can get them over for after. But David Payton is starting to lose some time again to Travis Swanky, so that battle has kind of disband itself one more time. So we'll see if Peyton can jump back to catch up there to Travis, or if Travis is going to be able to just pull out the pace here. So it looks as if Travis is starting to lose some time going into Indianapolis and through Arnage. I think that's just this main point of losing time there. So it's so difficult, man, for these drivers because there's so much that these guys have to try to do in these races. They try to manage gaps, and as much as during an endurance race, it's not all about managing the gap. In one of these races where it's only 2 hours 15 minutes, you really do have to manage the gap and have the pace over your teammates because you can't rely on it all in pit stops because there's only 2 of them.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like, say, the 24 hours of Le Mans where you get many pit stops. You probably get 1 pit stop an hour. So yeah, you get a lot of chances to do something in the lane. Oh, List's car looks like it's handling horribly at the moment. The tires, you know, again, like we said before, once the tires get once they get heated up, once they go past that level, you know, the car can be a bit snappy, a bit oversteery. We're seeing that here. David Payton's within 3/10 of Schwenke again for second place. Apologies to Mike Down. Well, he was. He was anyway. Is that not the case? It looked like it.
I think we're at 1.3 actually.
It's 0.4 on the. Oh, it's. Oh, there we go. It was a bit of a bogus reading then.
Yeah, so we're getting a bit of an issue then on the side of our live timing.
But yeah, 1.2 looks spot on. To be fair, now.
Yeah, I would have to say that looks about right. But one thing is, I'm just keeping an eye here on Jim Lister's car. This is why I'm continuing to jump over to him. Is I'm looking, and it looks as if he's locking up into the braking zones. So is that almost like he's locking up on the entry to braking zones? And in the Mercedes GT3 or in any GT3 car, they do have ABS, so that shouldn't be the case. And you can see he's sliding all about there. So as he somehow disabled the traction control in ABS and can't get it back re-enabled.
I mean, you can disable it. Should we go on board with him into the first corner and see what? We go. Is there a front-facing shot so we can see the? Let's have a look. Here we go into the first corner. It does look like it's squirming around a bit.
It's just all sorts of squirmy. To me, in a real-life scenario, that would prove to me that he's had an ABS failure. But obviously, in iRacing, you can't have an ABS
Can't
failure.
have it.
So for me, that would have to be that there's 2 options, really. That the tires are gone, but I can't see how the tires would be gone, as I believe they've replaced the tires. So either the tires have gone, or they have disabled the ABS or the traction control.
Which can be a personal preference for the driver, of course, if they prefer it. But yeah, I just wanted, slower in my opinion, surely. But I was just going to ask you: is it possible that could have sustained some floor damage? I mean, can that be possible in this simulation model?
It's definitely possible. It's not something that you don't see. I've run the Mercedes GT3, and I've actually run many cars here quite extensively in the last month. Floor damage is definitely a possibility. If you take too much curb consistently, you will get floor damage, which will cause some of the symptoms that we're seeing from Jim List, and it will also cost you about a second per lap, to a second and a half on most cars. And then in some of the higher horsepower cars, such as the LMP1s, that was a big
He's pushing hard. He's pushing
hard, and that's I think that's compounding the issue. I think right now he's over pushing the car, seeing that he's trying to, as he's catching just slightly, he's over pushing the car, which is costing him more because he's got the tires all heated up.
He's got to give the tires time to cool down. I mean, they've still got an hour though, haven't they? That's the thing. They still have got an hour to make this work, and it's 10 seconds between, it's 11 and a half seconds between Jim List and Tyler Schiffler, who's leading the way here. Meh Motorsports are at the moment set for the title, but like you say, Tyler, when you look at it, 10 seconds in an hour, it's not easy, but potentially if they want to make this work, they could do it. But again, they're going to have to be mistake-free. We've seen a few mistakes from drivers who don't normally make them tonight. So, see what happens.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I just love about Le Mans is it throws up that kind of stuff where drivers who normally don't make mistakes will make a mistake. And I'm just going to pull up the time graph here for you in different shots from when they've the times that the gaps have been. The gap, keep in mind, has been down to all the way down to 7 seconds. Right now it's covering right about 13 seconds, but just one lap ago, the gap was at 14. So the gap is shrinking.
Oh, List is pushing. I tell you, he's getting close to that outside wall. That barrier that's now there. After Jan Magnussen had an absolutely massive crash in a Corvette a few years ago, they now put extra protection on the outside wall, and doing well, getting very, very close to getting very, very close to the fence. Violet's not doing a bad job though. He's hanging in there, but he's just losing a couple of tenths a lap.
And one other thing I'd like to add here, just before we go over to a commercial break, Eric Violet is catching Tyler Schiffler. So he is closing in on him, despite he having Jim List coming on him. He's handling that pressure incredibly well. I would wonder, though, if we will see a swap of positions for those drivers one more time going into once Jim List gets closer to maybe tow Eric Violet a little bit better this time than he did last time, because obviously wasn't able to do quite the job that he needed to last time out. So let's see how it all goes for him. And we just 21 minutes in. We have less than 1 hour to go in the super finale here for the Ricmotech World Challenge. As I quickly get these spooled up, we'll just watch
now. Yeah, I think that we're going to see the switch here. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to probably think that, but I'd imagine the switch is going to take place before the next chicane. Or maybe not. I would have done it before the next chicane, to be fair, so you don't get held up too much. But yeah, we're just going to see if Jim List is going to get through, and if he does that in the next few seconds or so, we'll go for the commercial break after that. But I wonder if he's going to be a legit overtake, or is it just going to be a, you know what? There's no hint of an overtake, of a gifted position there, is there? So yeah, who knows on that one. Yeah, I might as well stick with this then, because I think the team will want Jim List to get to the front, Tyler, but I don't know, are they just waiting until it's absolutely an easy move, or what? I don't know, but to me, if their strategy is to tow along, then they've already lost more time by not letting Jim List through. Oh my goodness me, Jim List nearly lost it again, so that's another 3 or 4 tenths gone for him. Well, this is the Ricmotech World Challenge, sponsored by Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment and Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Andrew Woodhouse and Tyler Maxson with you for Apex Racing TV. We're going to go for a break. We're going to be back in, we'll take 10 minutes, something like that, and then we'll be back with you after that. See you in a bit.
Are you a fan of the Ricmotech World Challenge? Now is your chance to show off your favorite sim racing world challenge by visiting our online store. With clothing and apparel for women and men in all sizes, merchandise and gift items like coffee mugs, laptop skins, mouse pads, and many more items to display your passion for sports car sim racing. Visit us today at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and click on the online store button. Thank you for watching and supporting the Ricmotech World Challenge. Are you a fan of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series? Now is your chance to show off your favorite sim racing series by visiting our online store. With clothing and apparel for women and men in all sizes, merchandise and gift items like coffee mugs, laptop skins, mouse pads, and many more items to display your passion for sports car sim racing. Visit us today at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and click on the online store button. Thank you for watching and supporting the Ricmotech Sports Car Series.
Welcome back to Apex Racing TV. Welcome back to the Ricmotech World Challenge. Andrew Woodhouse and Tyler Maxon here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, otherwise known, of course, as Le Mans, for the finale of this multi-class season. And we've had some developments, Tyler, in the pit lane.
Yes, we have. It is currently D2D Motorsports Blue, who went from not being in championship winning position to now in championship winning position. That is
Oh,
just,
you're right. Your eyes do not deceive you, ladies and gentlemen.
they do not whatsoever. D2D Motorsports Blue currently leading by 14.6 seconds over Meth Motorsports and Clint Vigas. And then Bobby Childs and D2D Motorsports Gold are in third place. I would like to know here how we went from Meth Motorsports leading to D2D Gold, who for sure were going to be most likely the inheritors of the lead once Meth Motorsports have pitted and done their required driver swaps. And now all of a sudden we have D2D Motorsports Blue in the lead by 14 seconds, and we have D2D Gold back by 4 seconds to Clint Vigas and 19 seconds to the leader.
Wow. Yeah, and this has just turned around massively in the last sort of 10 minutes or so. It's unbelievable how the fortunes turn, isn't it, for Blue, because D2D Blue were they were looking like they were not out of it completely, but they were 8 to 10 seconds behind. With the pit stop to make, and they've changed driver, Tyler, as well. So it's not just, it's that's definitely, that would normally cost a bit more time.
Yeah, just as you said. I mean, it's just unreal here.
I'm sorry for
everything can change.
I'm sorry for mixing up my words. It's about It's about 20 to 2 a.m. But I tell you what, it's definitely keeping me awake. Is this race? It's fantastic.
Yeah, and this is just one of those things. This race may have only had 12 cars in it, but it is just incredible racing.
May have only had 12 overtakes, but
yeah.
But it's a good. It's it's great always to come to Le Mans, isn't it, and see a race, because it's always a challenge. We've seen mistakes from the drivers.
Yeah, it really, really is. It's one of those series and one of those tracks, especially, that can just throw up anything to any team whatsoever. There is no script at Le Mans. You're not done with it until you've taken the checkered flag. Le Mans will throw anything at you. And it's one of those circuits that you can't mess with the beast, because it will come back to bite you. It's one of those circuits that you just have to respect and know.
Oh, big problems for yes, indeed. Sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I just thought I'd decide to tell you that Bobby Childs in the D2D Motorsports Gold car has had an awful lap, and managed to lose a lot of time, about 10 seconds or more.
Yes, he has. So he's lost a lot of time in this last lap there to Clint Vigas in the Meth Motorsports car. So
and he's been off 3 times in the space of 30 seconds.
Yeah, so what is going on? And actually, it's even less than that. It's actually about 20 seconds almost. Yeah, so I want to know what happened there. I'm just going to quickly spool up a replay here for you. So we'll see what happened here with Bobby Childs. If it was just to the case that he dropped a wheel, or if he actually...
Whoa!
Oh, whoa! We'll have to say, though, that's a very, very impressive save to keep it out of the wall. But that was lost 12 seconds. And he's taken an awful long time to get the car going again, so he's actually stalled it. Bobby Childs, he stalled the car. That was very random.
That's unusual as well.
It's not possible. Unlikely. It is possible if you don't have that assist on, and you don't get the clutch pushed in quick enough. It is very, very possible.
Yeah, because there's no anti-stall on these things if you don't have the right configuration of clutch.
No, there is definitely no anti-stall in these cars. It is not like some of the newer Le Mans prototypes or even newer GT cars. These are GT3 cars. They don't have that assist. and that really the real help that you get with that. So
It's
it's that one's a difficult one to swallow there for Bobby Childs because D2D Motorsports Gold had it absolutely set out for them. They were leading by 14 seconds, and somehow they've thrown it away now, pretty much, to now being in third by a ton of time, more than almost a minute.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to make up now. I mean, half an hour, it's almost impossible. You know, I mean, if Bobby Charles shows the pace that Jim List did earlier on, then you know he's going to make some headway. But even that won't help them get to the front. So they're going to have to rely on mistakes if they want to win this race. But to be honest, at this point, are they really going to care? Their teammates are going to get the championship as it stands. So are they going to care about finishing third? Probably not so much. It hasn't been a good race at all for Team Street Survivor. We saw Jeff Jacobs have some issues earlier on. Jennifer McDonald got in the car and had an issue earlier on as well. Car looks pretty pedestrian through the Ford chicane. McDonald looks like she hasn't really got the car underneath her, really, and I wonder if that's a mixture of. I wonder if that's any particular issue or what. As the sun actually comes out, and it's going to make keeping the tyres cool even more difficult as it shines brightly down onto the circuit now.
Yeah, just looking at the
look at
between Clint Vigas and Bobby Childs. I mean, there's a 3-second as Brandon Whitworth is into the pits for D2D Motorsports Blue. So
they've taken the short pit stop.
So they have taken the short stint. They've almost done 2 short stints now. Unless I have missed something and they have not made the pit stop, which would make sense. But Clint Vigas will easily take the lead. And almost Bobby Childs, I think, is actually going to get into second place.
And of course, the important thing there, back into championship position for Meh Motorsports and Clint Vigas.
Yeah, so for those of you just now tuning in, or haven't tuned in since the last time we talked about this, there's been some issues over the course of this race for many teams. And also, the big talking point of this race is D2D Motorsports Blue and Meh Motorsports. They are the current championship fight. They are in championship contention in GTD. Whoever finishes ahead of the other one will take the championship.
Well. Now, I must admit, I did. It almost seemed too good to be true that D2D Blue managed to get into the lead by such a margin, Tyler. But I didn't think that. I wasn't sure exactly if if it was just strategy that got onto that place, and now you would assume that there'll be another stop for. You would assume there'll be another stop for Meh Motorsports. I mean, I don't know. I don't think on merit they're 78 seconds ahead of Brandon Whitworth.
No, and I really don't think so either. Yeah, but
because it was only 10 seconds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was only a 10-second advantage. Yeah, so they must have another pit stop to make. But one thing I do just want to quickly clear up for those of you in the chat asking, there was a glitch with the lap that you were seeing during the commercial break. I'm sorry about that. We did not have any audio. So what's a glitch with the file? And the Mustang one was what was provided to me by the series. So just to answer those questions up there. But back to the racing here. Yeah, so big leaps D2D is going to have to make if Meh Motorsports doesn't have to make another pit stop. Meh Motorsports will take the championship.
Yeah, I mean, just half an hour to go. It's coming into the crunch time now. And, you know, this is the time when you see who's got the stones, shall we say, to keep it on the circuit and to tame this Le Mans circuit for for the remainder. And so far it's been, and I will say so far at the front, it's been Mike Dam and Pasquale Iannucci, Cryptogy Orange Racing. Excellent, excellent performance from them. Absolutely dominated the race since the fairly early going. Rob Hartley and Travis Fenke is just as equal a partnership as Dam and Iannucci in terms of speed and ability. But on this day, doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Obviously, still a long time to go, but yeah, Mike Dam and co have really done a good job.
Yeah, we just got it about 20.
We've barely seen them actually on the screen. I feel bad for them actually.
Yeah, let's give Mike Dam and Cryptology Orange here. Let's give them some love as we work into just about 27 minutes left into this race. Now, one thing that we never actually got to do a little bit earlier is let's do an onboard lap with them. Let's give them about 4 minutes of love here on board with Mike Dam.
Take it away. Welcome back to Le Mans and the Ricmotech World Challenge. We are entering the final phase of the race. Just 17 minutes to go, and we've seen a good race today. I wouldn't say it's been a fantastic race, but it's certainly been enjoyable. We've seen some interesting situations with the strategy and certainly it's been fun to. It's always fun to watch the cars, Tyler, as they go around this historic venue.
Yeah, it's just absolutely awesome to watch those cars go around the track, and it's just awesome. It's the mark of the end of the season. It's an exciting time for a lot of drivers as they get to end off a season, some good, some bad endings, and they just get to really enjoy these last few laps of the season before they have to go full push into next season. There's really big gaps all around the track, not too much battling at all. Kevin Ford has moved the Ricmotech Motorsports white car up into 5th place. But other than that, we haven't had any sort of action since we've been gone. Sorry about the long wait there. Me and Andrew just got to talking just a bit. And
Yeah, the bad thing is we were discussing the race, and we went for the onboard lap with Mike Dam, and then we kind of just forgot that we weren't live, and we were just talking away and about the race, and yeah, it just ended up being a few minutes extra than we thought. But I will say that when you look at Kevin Ford here, he got past Russell Rudder only a lap or two ago, and he's made 10 seconds on him already. So I wonder if Ruddock's got some damage. We will see. This is the overtake then. Coming out of Tertre Rouge, gets a great run, and the only Ford GT in the field, going through fairly easily there. But yeah, it's alarming how much the gap has grown. 4 seconds it was on the last lap. Kevin Ford putting in a good stint. He's not quite as quick in these GT cars as he is in the regular sports cars, but certainly still a good performance, a respectable effort in 5th in the team. With the other driver in the team is Raymond Bader, of course, who started the race. Didn't have the best first stint, actually, Bader. So Kevin Ford's done a good job, really.
yeah, Kevin Ford just has done a great job to move that car up into 5th place. He's able to make an advancement on his starting position in that one. But the big talk here, and what I'm most interested to keep an eye on here, is Clint Vigus going to pit again, or has he worked the strategy to where he doesn't have to pit again? From what I'm looking at here, I don't think he has to pit again, and he's actually going to be able to take the victory and the championship.
That's what it's all about, of course. Final round of the season. Championship on the line. Sun is really beating down now onto the circuit, which is going to mean that if anybody is struggling with tyres, it is going to exacerbate that a little bit with the increased temperatures.
Yeah, it is just going to definitely hurt that quite a bit. It's not going to make it any easier, for sure, whenever it comes to tire wear and tire management. It's also going to make getting the tires back down to temperature, if you have overheated them, a big issue. That's for sure. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge for the drivers if they are having tire issues like that. But if they are able to manage it, they're going to also see a great benefit than the drivers who can't manage it as well.
Yep, indeed. And Vigus on his merry way, the 20-second lead. I mean, are we certain that they don't have to pit again, or was that just one extra stop for D2D Blue that maybe indicates they were going aggressive compared to them?
I'm not certain on it. I am not. But from the way it looks, with just about 13 minutes to go, it's looking as if they're not going to have to take another pit stop. And if they were, they would have already done it unless they're trying to do a splash and dash to the end. If they were still doing a splash and dash, it still wouldn't be enough time for D2D Blue to get by with Brandon Whitworth at the wheel. It still
Yeah,
wouldn't
unless
be
they really cock it up, which hopefully, which I don't think they will, even if they do have to come in like that.
if they even have to come in, I think maximum it's going to cost them is 30 to 35 seconds. I can see maybe 40 seconds, but that's if they have to put in more fuel than they
Yeah, I
need to
mean,
get safe.
the marker that you've got to put against is the Brandon Whitworth pit stop, which was 25 seconds in the box, 101 pit lane time. So yeah, it shouldn't cost Vegas that much if he does have to stop again. But I wonder. I mean, it doesn't look like anybody else is coming in for a third stop, so you could wonder: was it a, you know, was there any other reason why that pit stop would have been made, that extra stop?
Yeah, it would. It's just so hard to tell with anything. We can think that for sure there's going to be something going on all the way down until the final lap happens, and if it doesn't happen, it just isn't going to happen. Yeah, so it's just so hard to call this at this point in the race. Now, it's such a difficult one to call because I can see both ways happening in the race. I can see where they have to make another pit stop, but I can also see how D2D has been pushing so hard that they have had to make another pit stop, but I can't see them making that big of a miscalculation because even according to the notes, they're supposed to make 2 stops, not 3.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's usually you stretch it out, don't you, to 2 stops? But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that there's not going to be another pit stop here. But I mean, you never truly know. But if it turns out though, that they don't stop again, this margin of victory is going to be really large actually in the end. And those spins from List especially earlier on, you know, that has ended up actually costing D2D Gold quite dearly, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really, really has cost them a lot of time because D2D Gold probably would have been in the lead now had they just not have had those issues. So it's cost D2D Gold a lot of time. D2D, this is not normal for them to misjudge the strategy this much. It really isn't. So either D2D has got something figured out that both me and you could just not figure out up here in the commentary booth, or Mech Motorsports has just outpaced them and out-strategized them.
Yeah, and it might have been slightly deceiving in that, you know, they didn't always look like they were super quick out there. Maybe that was the point. Maybe they were just getting the most out of what they've got. I mean, you know, you have a finite amount of resources in the car, don't you? Fuel and tires, the consumable elements, and it's up to you how you use those elements and exactly how much you take out of the tires at the beginning of the race. Look at the state of that Audi, by the way.
Yeah, that Audi was the one that went for that nasty spin through the Porsche curbs and ended up hitting the wall. But he is just going to get out of the way of your class leader.
He's now got like a half DRS thing going on at the back. With half the wing bent down. Thing is, I know from doing the Le Mans race that we got a little bit of damage in the rear wing, not as severe as that, but a little bit of damage on the Ferrari, and it cost us. I mean, I think it was similar to the one you had. It cost us a good sort of 10 kilometers an hour. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's those things like that. Little things can cost you a lot of time, and it's another one of those things that you've got to, while you have to push incredibly hard to make up a lot of time, you also can't afford to be doing that and making those kind of mistakes. Because if you make those mistakes and you do end up getting some of those kind of damage at Le Mans, everything is multiplied by 10.
Yeah, if you had this damage at Monaco, it wouldn't make much difference, would it? But, you know, you've got the long straights here, and it's all magnified. And, oh, Vigas. That was nearly a spin.
Yeah, he definitely got that car upset, but Bobby Childs is starting to slowly chip away at his lead. But he's
You
just
know,
not going to be able to make it. He's just not going to be able to close the gap. With
it is
7
it
minutes to
is at
go,
this time
it's going to be
as well.
nearly impossible.
Sorry, it is at this time where you start wondering, has everybody got the fuel right? You know, have they made the calculations properly? Because God knows we've seen it on this channel over the years. We've seen some fuel-related problems. Just to take you through very quickly the GTLM standings, probably for the last time, really, until the end of the race. Mike Dam, Crypty Orange Racing, leading the way ahead of Excite Energy. And, well, that is 38.5 seconds. That is really, really strong performance over the champions-elect, really. Svenke and Hartley. Chris Torment in third for Coaxial Racing. He's done a good second half of the race. Just very lonely for him, but very strong performance nonetheless. Brian Cartier in fourth for Phoenix Racing. Kevin Ford in fifth. Russell Ruddock in sixth. And Jennifer McDonald in seventh. And then it's Clint Vigas leading the way, as we've seen in GTD, ahead of Bobby Childs in the D2D Motorsports Gold, and then Brandon Whitworth, and then Edgar Sancinelli, and then it's Matt Owens still going in the battered car. He hasn't given up, but that car is 10 seconds a lap off the pace. Yeah, not a pretty sight there. Brian Cartier has had a crash apparently, according to the overlay in the last couple of minutes.
Let's see if we can get that pulled up for you there. Let's just get a replay of what happened to him.
Phoenix Racing Ferrari. Oh, loses it in the first part of the Ford chicane. Decent little spin turn there. To be fair, it didn't cost him anything, Brian Cartier.
No, it didn't really. It's not going to cost him position out at this point in the race. At this point in the race, most of these drivers can afford to make small mistakes like that or make certain mistakes without it costing them too much time. So they do have that to their advantage. That everyone can just kind of calm down. Even Clinton Vigas in the Mac Motorsports car doesn't have to push that car to 110% now for the next few laps. But just going to quickly jump over here to Mike Dam and see when he is going to take the start-finish line. Right now, I'm looking at about 2 hours and 12 minutes, which should give us a white flag this time by.
Yes, that's right. It's only going to have about 3 minutes, really, left on the clock. And, of course, it doesn't take a genius to work out that's not enough time for 2 laps. So, yeah, we should get the white. Again, it's been an absolute clinic up front, hasn't it? You know, it was a good start by them. Got to the first corner first. Staved off the charge of Hartley in the first stint until Hartley's mistakes. And then yeah, Mike Dam's just basically taken over from Pasquale Iannucci, who did a great first stint, and then just carried it on.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what they've done, and I'd love to tell you that there's some sort of special strategy that they've worked or something, but they've just kept the nose clean. That is the biggest deal with any sort of endurance racing. Now, a 2 hour and 15-minute race doesn't sound too much like an endurance race, but it is. And it's one of those races where you keep the nose clean. That's going to save you so much time. And that is, they are the definition of keeping the nose clean and running consistent pace. They may not be the fastest car on the track. They currently are the fastest car on the track, but they don't have to be the fastest car on the track to win. They could even drop off 2-3 tenths at this point And they could have done that for the last 10 laps and never would have had an issue because they didn't have previous issues earlier on in the race.
Just that relentless pace that's been, you know, been set by them. You know, that's the thing. That's the reason for this big lead is just the fact that they've just kept plugging away, haven't conceded too many seconds. And Mike Dam, he did take it a bit easier on that previous lap. We're looking at that was Jennifer McDonald, I believe. But yeah, you know, at 2 hours and 15 minutes, like you say, some people don't think it's a very some people don't think it's a very long race, but it's half an hour longer really than the longest F1 race on the calendar, which is probably Singapore, at about 1 hour and 45 minutes. So it's a fair old go of it here, and they've done 35 laps.
Yes, they have. They've done 35 laps in this race, and 35 laps, while it doesn't sound like a lot.
Doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
That is a long, long time when you're considering a lap of Le Mans is almost 4 minutes.
That's it. We're not talking the A1 ring here, people. You know, it's not a 1 and 10 second lap. It's 4 minute laps, and 35 of them. Takes a lot of concentration, takes a lot of precision. And Mike Dam's displayed those things. Pasquale Iannucci, likewise, he was the one who made really the who had the difficult job. Let's face it, Tyler. Iannucci was the one who gained that lead, and he garnered all that advantage.
Yeah, Iannucci definitely had the job to do for that team. He had the main bit of the work to do, but Mike Dam, nothing taken from him, has done an absolutely incredible job. But like you said, Pascal Iannucci definitely had the biggest burden on his shoulders to get that car into the lead and away from the charging pack.
Here we go then.
Yeah, Mike Dam is now going to work his way through the Porsche curbs. He's got just a few more turns to survive before he can take victory. As he just now gets ready, he's got one more turn to go in the Porsche curbs. Then he'll head down into the Ford chicanes, where he will lead onto the front straightaway to take the victory here in the GTLM and in the final race of the season. So he's got just a couple more turns to go. They're not easy corners, but it's very, very easy to make a mistake. He navigates them beautifully, and he will come onto the front straightaway now. And your winner in GTLM, Mike Dam in Cryptology Orange.
Well done to Mike Dam. Well done to Pasquale Iannucci and Cryptology Orange Racing. Excellent performance, really, by them. And Travis Fenke, well, it wasn't the race win for them today, but it is the championship. Travis Fenke and Rob Hartley taking the title here. And Clint Vigas and May Motorsports, well, he's going to take the title for them as well. Two champions coming across, Tyler, in the space of a few seconds.
Yeah, Travis Swanky crosses the line and Excite Energy Racing take the championship victory. Huge blow, though, to, and it, Bobby Childs has had some sort of incident. And this is going through the final sector.
Brandon Whitworth isn't far away, Tyler. Brandon Whitworth's only 4 seconds behind. He could get this one. The car's crabbing for Childs.
Do they know something that we don't?
I wouldn't imagine so, no. But I mean, we'll have to see the incident again for Childs once Whitworth crosses the line. Brandon Whitworth's going to cross the line. He's going to win. He's going to win second place, shall we say there, just to rescue that. Let's have a look at Bobby Childs then. It's in the Porsche curves.
Oh, he's come out of R&R's and hit the outside wall, and that's cost him it. That is it for him.
But then he went off in the Porsche curves again. So even after he'd hit the wall in R&R's, he makes a mistake later on. So he's suffering with the handling. Broken suspension, and we've seen, you know, in the past, just light taps on the sort of side impact to the wheels can bust the suspension. We have seen it. And Childs, yeah, that was it for him. I personally don't think there was a. I personally don't think there's any issue there, really. But I guess we'll have to see. I will just double check my notes, Tyler, just to make sure. I'm pretty sure that we had it right all along. But yeah, Mare Motorsports must finish ahead of D2D Blue and cannot finish lower than third, which obviously is the case. So yeah, I think it's just a general mistake. Look at that, the Russell Ruddock's car. Well, it looks like there's a bit of damage there.
And he will round the final Ford chicane and will finish out the season in 6th place. Not how they wanted to end the season for sure. But we're just waiting here on Jennifer McDonald to go ahead and cross the line. Then we can get you your race results here in the Ricmotech World Challenge Series.
Yeah, Russell Ruddock's. Did you notice that Russell Ruddock's rear window was missing?
I actually did, but I
But
thought
there was no other damage.
That's why I thought it was a texture glitch.
Yeah.
On behalf of iRacing, do just ignore the fact that it says Sebring International there. But again, race results are up on your screen.
Indeed, they are. Mike Dam takes the win then for Cryptid Orange with Pasquale Iannucci, 34.2 seconds ahead of Travis Schwenke and Rob Hartley, who, let's not forget, have won the Ricmotech World Challenge in the GTLM class. Chris Torman came home for coaxial racing with, he was partnering David Payton in third, Brian Cartier for Phoenix Racing, who did a good final stint taking over from Geordie Fike. And then Kevin Ford, he was in fifth in the end. And he was with Raymond Bader, of course, in that one. Russell Ruddock and Michael Ruddock in sixth. Jennifer McDonald and Jeff Jacobs rounding out the GTLM finishers. And then into the GTD class, and that was the one that we had the most excitement in today. Clint Vigus taking the spoils and bringing home the championship, and an absolutely fantastic result for he and Tyler Shiflett, who end up taking the title. Pretty much against the odds as well. It wasn't an easy scenario for them to be in. Brandon Whitworth and Eric Violet came home in ninth overall, second place in class. Bobby Charles and Jim List in third. Edgar Sanchinelli and Michael sorry, no, that's wrong, isn't it? Oh no, Edgar Sanchinelli and Michael Key for Frito Sport Racing. Matt Owens and oh dear, where is it? Matt Owens and Matt Kodrowski in 12th place, and then Arthur Chan and Race Marshall. Yes, of course. Arthur Chan didn't take the start. Sorry about that, Tyler. I am getting very, very tired indeed, and the brain isn't working very well.
Yeah, absolutely no problems with that. Trust me. Totally get it. But yeah, as we just wait on everything to cycle through, and we do have one driver here for an interview. We do have Mike Dam, so we'll go ahead and get him in really quickly and see what we can get from him. So, quickly just go ahead and drag him over. Mike, welcome to the commentary booth, and welcome to the welcome to the final round. So, final round for you in the championship. You guys weren't able to take the championship. in the final round. There wasn't. It was already wrapped up. And you're just able to take the final race victory of the season. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Uh, yeah, we ran a good race there. I'm not 100% sure what the points. I thought we were 16 points behind. Were we now?
I cannot give you an exact number. I don't
Okay.
have the current point standings in front.
I believe we at least tied for first. That is what I'm optimistic going out of this race, judged by our performance. So yeah, we basically had to put down a clean run here, sweep the board. We Pat put on an awesome run that first day, and he kept it going and run some really quick laps. Then handed the car over to me, and yeah, we kept it clean, and it just worked out for us.
Yeah, and obviously, you were able to come out with a victory here in the final race. And like you said, if you actually were able to tie the championship, I'm not too familiar on the rules. How does it go down if you do tie with someone?
I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know, a race off? I don't know.
So I'm just gonna quickly look this up because I'm actually quite interested in this myself. But um, again,
I
off the
believe
jump,
now, looking at back at it, I believe we both had 9 bonus points, and I think there's a cap of 10. I don't believe
Rock, paper, scissors, maybe? I don't know.
I don't believe Robert or Travis got a bonus point in this race. And counting the drop weeks, I think we gained 15 points on this race in race points, and we got at least one bonus point before we hit the buffer. So I think that's an even 16. So it's going to be really tight. We'll see what the results are, but it's going to be crazy.
So yeah, just going through the rulebook, couldn't actually quite find it that quickly, but um, yeah. So if you actually were able to win the championship, congrats. But again, though, congrats on the win in the final race of the championship. Um, we know next season, there will be a next season.
Okay.
And the M8 is also going to be
Uh,
added to it. Is there any possibility that your team will switch to that M8?
Oh, the big thick boy.
I cannot say right now. Yeah, I don't know. We were focused on this race and finishing it, so maybe we could talk about next season. I don't know. I just want to say thanks to you guys for broadcasting what you can, and hopefully this has grown the series and we get a lot more drivers next.
Yeah, we were just talking about that ourselves up here in the commentary booth. There may only be 12 teams, but there's 25 drivers and some absolutely awesome. And it's definitely a series to get involved in if you can.
Absolutely,
For
it's
anyone out
top
there
notch
viewing.
stuff.
Yeah, there you go. You heard it from him yourself. But Mike, anyone you'd like to thank before we cap off the season?
Oh yeah, my teammate Pat. He doesn't. I don't think he got an incident all season long or something. So he drives clean every race, and that's awesome for me. And just the admins, Kevin, Jeff, Matt Cadova, Stephen Thomas. They really wanted to get this going, and it was an awesome season to race in. Just to them and our sponsors, Chris Thorman with Elite Texas Graphics, and also Frank Rico at Ricmotech.
Congratulations on the race win, and if I don't ever talk to you, or if I don't talk to you again this season, congratulations on the championship if you do end up taking that. But again, congratulations on the final race of the season. Hopefully, to see you back here next season.
Alrighty, thank you, sir. Have a good one.
So there we go, Mike Dam in the Cryptology orange car. As try to move him out. There we go. I can now move him. Okay. But yeah, so Andrew, that is it for the Ricmotech World Challenge 19 Season 1.
Yeah.
Definitely excited for next season to get underway. But we have the Ricmotech Sports Car Series coming back next week, and we return to Detroit in Belle Isle. So that's going to be an awesome race. I cannot wait for that one.
Yeah, indeed. Detroit is a terrific circuit. I really enjoy it. Going to get some great action there, I'm sure. Thank you to everybody who's watched the season 1 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. We've really enjoyed bringing it to you. And like Mike said, hopefully the series will grow for next season and bring us some more chances to enjoy some great endurance racing. So from all of us here, from everyone who's covered the races this season, on behalf of them, it's a big thank you to everybody who's watched. Like I say, thanks to the drivers for providing such a great spectacle. Thanks to the league organisers and the sponsors, because obviously without them, we couldn't bring this to you. So from myself, Andrew Woodhouse, from Tyler Maxon, who's also done a fantastic job on the cameras as well. It's goodbye from us. It's goodbye from the Ricmotech World Challenge. We'll see you for season 2.